Well, it's hilarious, Harris, to see these Democrats talking about moral clarity and rigging the system, because all of this unfairness was actually started by Democrats.
That's how National Review summarized it. They said it was only 3 years ago that New York's Democratic legislature drew up a map so brazenly contemptuous of basic rules that govern a district's contiguousness that the state's Democrat-dominated Court of Appeals threw it out. The New York Times at the time called those maps comically contorted. That's their quote. So your state's highest court at the time, all the judges appointed by Democratic governors, they threw the maps out. So fair to say Democrats have done what they're now accusing Republicans of doing.
No, we followed the rules. We do it every 10 years. We base it on census.
But the court said you didn't follow the rules.
Well, we did follow the rules.
So the court was wrong?
Guys, we got another leftist out here crying. This governor of New York, woke Governor Kathy Hochul, the lady who won by default because disgraced former Governor Andrew Cuomo got outed by a bunch of women, and during the pandemic season where this guy was on TV pretty much every day, and he's going to lose as mayor as well to this communist Mamdani. But anyway, Governor Kathy Hochul is out here crying because the Republicans are trying to cheat. They're trying to steal the vote for the midterms. Like, they're just crying about this every freaking day, as if there's a dang gum thing that they could do about it. We all know that the Democrats gerrymander. They've been doing it. I learned about it in school when I was a little tech tight, okay, a little bitty kid. That was well over 20 years ago that I learned about this. And of course, they're still doing it, but because of the timing, they're trying to complain some more. Hochul decided to go on Fox News, stupidly decided to go on Fox News with this reporter. I can't remember this lady's name, but man, does she cook with Crisco. Without further ado, let's get into it.
Okay, so joining us now, New York Governor Kathy Hochul. Welcome to Fox News Sunday. Great to have you.
Thank you, Shannon.
Okay, so let's start here. The governor
That's
referred to this. I mean, your state constitution was amended by the people back in 2014. It sets restrictions on when and how you can redistrict. This is what Congressman Mike Lawler, who obviously could be at danger of losing his seat, here's what he says about that.
The voters certified this at the ballot box. They wanted an independent redistricting commission. They do not want partisan gerrymandering, and they do not want it done in a mid-decade redistricting. The Democrats, who oftentimes lecture everybody about upholding democracy, should abide by the state constitution.
Even the head of your Democratic state party there in New York says, Constitution seems pretty clear. I don't know where someone could reinterpret this as something you can do every 2 years. So what's the plan? Is it to go around the Constitution, get a new amendment? How do you do it?
You know what, Shannon? These times call for fighting fire with fire. We didn't ask for this fight. You know, I'm busy governing the state of New York, focusing on public safety and affordability.
You know, one of the things that I wish that the Democrats would try to do is stop worrying so much about whatever Trump. What were you gonna do if Trump wasn't here? Stop worrying so much about, well, we got to fight fire with fire. How are you gonna govern?
Why are we here today? Because Donald Trump looked at the polls for next year.
Here we go.
And he realized, based on their failed policies, which are hurting New Yorkers and people all across this country, the tariffs did not create jobs. We now have 2 million people more, 2 billion more on unemployment. So they know they're going to lose next year, so now they're desperate. It's like, okay, let's look around the country. Let's demand, not ask, but demand Greg Abbott follow like a lapdog. Donald Trump's order to give him 5 seats. That's why we're here today.
So, Governor,
they want to have a Texas stand down. We'll stand down as well.
You know that Texas, though, legally can do it right now. You can't in New York. So what is the plan? To ignore the state constitution, to amend it?
No, we'll put it to the people. We amend constitutions. We just did it a few years ago. We can put it to the people. But I think the people of this state, after what they're seeing when there's one-party domination in Washington and how our costs are going up, we're losing jobs and people are suffering, they're going to want us to use every tool in the arsenal to fight back. And that's what I intend to do.
Okay, you know, obviously, that those maps...
In New York, how y'all losing jobs in New York? I mean, most jobs in New York aren't going to be like manufacturing jobs or jobs impacted by tariffs, like with, you know, steel and, you know, aluminum. And I mean, it's not exactly the place where people build all their automobiles in New York City. So what jobs are you losing? If you're losing jobs, it's because you're a horrible governor, not because President Trump is doing something wrong.
Okay, you know, obviously, that those maps that came about the last time for redistricting were caught up in a lot of court battles there in New York. Here's how National Review summarized it. They said it was only 3 years ago that New York's Democratic legislature drew up a map so brazenly contemptuous of basic rules that govern a district's contiguousness that the state's Democrat-dominated Court of Appeals threw it out. The New York Times at the time called those maps comically contorted. That's their quote. So your state's highest court at the time, all the judges appointed by Democratic governors, they threw the maps out. So fair to say Democrats have done what they're now accusing Republicans of doing.
No, we followed the rules. We do it every 10 years. We base it on census.
But the court said you didn't follow the rules.
Well, we did follow the rules.
So the court was wrong?
Well, we followed the rules. And I want to call out the hypocrisy of
This lady said that Democrat courts threw it out. Said the maps were comically contorted. It probably looked like some freaking Etch-a-Sketch. You ever seen like the connect the dots? Like it probably looked so stupid. So the court was wrong. She never even answered the question.
Republicans who are now whining about the fact that we're doing something in New York. Where was the outrage when Donald Trump told Texas to just go find 5 seats for him?
We should have many more seats in Congress in California. It's all gerrymandered. And we have an opportunity in Texas to pick up 5 seats. We have a really good governor, and we have good people in Texas. And I won Texas. I got the highest vote in the history of Texas, as you probably know. And we are entitled to 5 more seats.
Come on. People aren't going to buy this.
Well, it is legal there in Texas, at least the way that they're doing it for now. And there will be court challenges, I'm sure, when they get done with their map, if it ever gets voted on. But here's a little bit more of what New York's highest court said in ruling against those maps. They said the legislature created maps in a non-transparent manner, controlled exclusively by the dominant political party, doing exactly what they would have done had the 2014 constitutional reforms never been passed. They said the maps were no good.
Well, we went back and redrew the maps. We followed the process, and here we are. And we didn't intend to do this again until the 2032 elections. But because we're in a different situation altogether that demands that leaders stand up and say, I'm not going to let our democracy be eroded away because there's a blatant power grab to maintain power in our nation's capital.
So you can erode democracy. You can erode it, but you can't do it unless it's every 10 years. It's got to be top of the year. It's got to be 2020, 2030, 2040. You can't erode democracy in 2025. That's basically the logic. And then they say, if you're going to erode democracy, then damn it, we're going to erode it too. So not only erode it in Texas, but erode it in New York, in California, and Illinois, and any other Democrat stronghold.
This is what I call a legal insurrection. Mm-hmm. Legal insurrection. Just let the rules stay the way they are. We'll do it the way we always have. But here we have Texas, and now going to other states. J.D. Vance, why aren't you looking out for how to lower costs like you promised? Instead, he's going like a lapdog around the country to different states saying, oh, can we pick up some here? Can we pick up some here? Because they know they're going to lose next year. That's the only reason they're engaging this. And also might be a nice distraction from people asking, all of a sudden this happens when they refuse to release the Epstein files. So I, along with a lot of people,
I knew that she wasn't going to make it through this without talking about Epstein. I'm surprised Pritzker made it through his conversation without talking about
people in New York are saying, what's that all about? Is this just another red herring? So no one's buying this. Just Texas, knock it off. We'll knock it off, and let's get back to governing. But you want to play these games? We're not going to sit on the sidelines. We're New Yorkers. We fight back.
Okay. You mentioned J.D. Vance, the vice president, so I want to play a little bit of what he had to say about what he argues that a number of states like yours have done in being more welcoming to people who are in the U.S. illegally and how that translates into then congressional seats. Here's what he said.
So they get rewarded for welcoming illegal aliens into their state, giving them federal benefits, actually asking the taxpayers of states like Ohio to subsidize them. And then those same taxpayers in Ohio and Indiana and elsewhere, they have fewer congressional representatives. That's ridiculously unfair. And the only real way to fight back against it is for us to redistrict in some ways as aggressively as these hard blue states have done.
So there was a point when you served as a county clerk in which there was talk from the governor, Spitzer at the time, about having the driver's license issued to people who were in the country illegally. You said you'd comply with the law, but called the sheriff about getting those folks arrested. You've clearly had an evolution on that issue. So what about the vice president's point that the more people you have who are counted in your state who may or may not be here legally, it helps you with congressional apportionment, not fair to the other states?
Boy, they're really stretching hard to justify this power grab, aren't they? I mean, my gosh. You know, we don't support open borders, number one. We will help ICE remove the criminals, the worst of the worst.
Ain't no way she just said that. I mean, Joe Biden was the open borders in chief. He talked about it before he even got elected, which confused me about people who said they didn't understand why he had an open border. He said he was going to have an open border.
Should someone who is here without documents, and that is his only offense, should that person be deported?
That person should not be the focus of deportation. We should fundamentally change the way we deal with things.
What exact changes would you bring to ICE as an agency?
I would hold ICE agents accountable if, in fact, they stepped over my executive order. You only arrest for the purpose of dealing with a felony that's committed, and I don't count drunk driving as a felony. I will send to the desk immediately a bill that requires access to citizenship for 11 million undocumented folks, number one. Number two, in the first 100 days of my administration, no one will be deported at all.
But she supported him the entire way. Kamala Harris was his VP. She supported everything that he did. They were trying to elect Kamala Harris. They were open borders people. So by default, by definition, you are an open borders Democrat. You are a far leftist radical lunatic for supporting Sleepy Joe and Kamala Harris. It's really that simple. Governor Kathy Hochul probably should have went to some other fake news network or something rather than going to Fox News. But even on NBC, Kristen Welker was out here cooking Fat Slob Pritzker. So I'm not sure where you can go there safe. Maybe MSDNC or ABC or something. I mean, you might want to be a little bit more picky next time. But these are just my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think. Drop a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. I appreciate you watching the Black Anomaly Rising channel. I'm out.
And it was started by Democrats right here in California. People say that when you see this playing out between the states, it's a tit for tat. If Texas moves first, then Illinois and California will respond and so on. No, it was California that started this. In 2008, the people of California voted for an independent commission to draw the legislative districts. What did Democrats do in California? They hijacked and corrupted that process, and they gerrymandered California districts to steal 12 House seats from Republicans. That's what started all this. We've got to realize who started this. It was Democrats.